So when this generation of the Camry was launched, this TNGA generation Camry, well, one of the things that shocked us most was its pricing. Well, Toyota switched this from CKD, locally assembled in Shah Alam, to CBU. Now, although cost-wise, right, a lot of people don't know this, it's actually cheaper for the car manufacturer to import a car from overseas rather than assembling locally. It's just that because of the different taxation structure, a CKD car hits the market at a CBU car, but at manufacturer cost price level, CBUs are actually cheaper. Yeah, a little nugget of info. So when this generation Camry hit the market at 190,000 ringgit, there was a bit of a shock. But nevertheless, I still remember when I first tested this car, I was very excited because earlier on when I tested the TNGA platform with the CHR, I felt that, wow, you know, this new TNGA platform handling really bagus. And the Camry certainly didn't disappoint. In fact, its only problem was that because the TNGA platform was so damn good, you know, the car is so agile, so sharp, you know, handling so responsive, that when you trash this up Genting Highlands, and make no mistake, this car, you can really, you know, push it around the bends, and yet at the same time it rides so well. It is such a beautifully set up suspension. It exposes the age of the engine, all right, which at that time was a carryover 2.5 litre port fuel injection engine mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. And you know, that engine, when you know, having also driven cars like the Mazda 6, the Volkswagen Passat, and all the other, you know, the current gen D segment engines, the Camry 2.5, the 2.5 litre engine in the Camry really felt it was from a bygone era. But Toyota has remedied that, okay, and has updated the Camry with the new generation dynamic force engine. And this was one of the criticisms that was leveled against the Camry at that time, because the dynamic force engine has been around, I think, for at least 4 or 5 years. And when the pre-facelift version of this Camry was launched, the dynamic force engine was already available from the Toyota parts bin, but they did not bring it here at that time because this engine is expensive. It is expensive. I mean, what, you've got dual injection la, VVT-IW la, all these things, right? They cost money, and they would have pushed the Camry's pricing well into 200 plus K, which at the time the market was not ready. But with the Mazda 6, with the Volkswagen Passat, now all in that 200,000 ringgit price bracket, all right, the Camry, well, honestly, crossing into 200,000 ringgit, if you divide it over monthly installments, it's not a big difference. So I would say very subtly updated Camry with the dynamic force engine. Now, to be fair, the outgoing 2.5 litre engine wasn't exactly lacking in terms of performance, all right? In the context of city driving, day-to-day, point-to-point motoring, it was adequate. It was good enough. The car, well, was not what you consider underpowered. There was enough grunt, get up and go, you know, to get you from point A to point B without feeling strained. But it's just that when you want to summon the upper reaches of the rev range, when you gun it, you then realize that the standards of refinement in the motoring industry and in the D segment in particular have moved on quite a bit from when that 2.5 litre engine first came out. And this is where this new dynamic force engine really elevates the Camry and gives it that final touch to make it a complete and convincing D-segment contender that readily exudes a premium feel, you know, in the sensations that it gives, the driving sensations that it gives you. And handling is still just as good as I remembered it with the pre-facelift model or with any of Toyota's TNGA cars that I've experienced, from the CHR to the Camry to the Corolla. See, now I'm going into this bend and turn. You feel the way the chassis manages the transfer of weight. You know, it just gives you so much confidence, you know, to chuck this car about. And there is that sense of feedback that comes back through the steering wheel that, you know, that gives you an idea of exactly, you know, what's going on with the front wheels. And not only that, the pliancy of the suspension is that, you know, this is a car that, you know, you can use this to traverse the roughest roads. And you can see from my surroundings in Taman Desa, when I just came back from Old Klang Road, the car handled itself with commendable composure. See, now I go over these speed bumps. The body just, you know, carried itself with such dignity. So if you were to drive this, you know, this Camry on back to back with the previous model, you may struggle at first to discern any major difference, but it is, you know, after a prolonged period, that is when you notice that, you know, this new one with the dynamic force engine is just that little bit more refined, you know, just that little bit more pleasant, you know, in the overall sensations that it exudes. It just feels like a more complete car than before, and I think that's what I'm looking for. The previous one, right? Because the engine and chassis did not feel entirely convincingly matched. You feel that the car was not, you know, the development of that car was not complete. And here, right here today, the car that I'm sitting in, it finishes the job. This car finishes the job. Okay guys, so here's the Camry, and this is one of those facelift exercises that are subtle. Okay, Toyota didn't make wholesale changes to the car, so there are new rims. Okay, the front bumper has been subtly reprofiled, but there's still some nice details going on here. Headlight remains the same. Okay, but so you can see the front, you know, this the grille occupies a large section of the bumper's real estate, and it is framed nicely by this C pattern here either side. Okay, the fog lamp, okay, is quite subtle, occupies a very subtle space within this whole fascia. All right, and you can see from the laminated Toyota logo, now the car has advanced driver assist systems. All right, you've got 4 front parking sensors here, and you've got the front camera here for the 360-degree camera system. Okay, so this example here is finished in pearl white paint, and just to bring you guys closer to the side mirror, there's been quite a lot of aerodynamic work going on here. You can see this fin here and these 4 very gentle fins here in order to streamline the airflow around the side mirrors and thus limit the turbulence and wind noise. So under the side mirror there, you can see the side camera, and so you see the overall side profile, right, is one of the Camry here is one that is of not overwhelming in terms of details, but just enough to give the car a premium touch. So you can see this shadow line here, one, and then there's this gentle sort of like, you know, crease line here that gives the side profile that added touch of character. All right, especially when in some lighting instances where you shine light from, say, this angle, you will see this part lit up, and then there's a little gentle shadow over there that gives the side that much more character. And you see this line, it continues up here. Okay, so it has that, it gives the impression as if as the sheet metal is slightly folded this way. And here the tail lights now are darkened, same design as before but darkened. And I like how there's a striping here, okay, red, black, red, and the line here goes down and it continues onto the bumper here. All right, so at the back also similarly a non-fussy design. There's of course a rear diffuser treatment here, 2 exhausts, but overall it's a very simple, no nonsense shape. I like how there's this little kink here to frame the rear reflectors. And so what Toyota has done in terms of the overall design approach with this Camry is that they've kept it simple, all right, but they still put in, you know, just some nice little details here and there for you to admire. So just see how this line here, for example, flows from the boot and up there. Okay, so you can see from the how the reflections play off the car's body to give it that extra touch of design character. Very, very nice. So we open the boot. Okay, don't mind these jazz tail lamps here. Help the friend source it to replace it on his car. So you have this waterproof boot floor which you can take out, okay, to wash in case you carry anything dirty. And underneath here you can see the tool kit. So overall the boot size is good. It's a good size. There's no split folding seats, but there's a through loading hole there. Okay, so you've got a hook here to hang things, one on this side, one on this side. The boot hinge is the gooseneck type. Okay, so it does, when you close, it will intrude a bit into the boot space, but what Toyota has done is that they have negated it somewhat because they've pushed the hinge right to the edge. So when you load things here, you will definitely have to keep this area clear, but the space penalty overall is actually quite minimal. And you have a handle here to pull the boot down. Okay, so inside here now, this all black interior is standard fare lah. I've commented enough of all black interiors, so I will not go into that anymore. But here you have a nice, you know, sunshade. Okay, and here there's this. This is not wood, neither wood nor metal. It's plastic. All right, this and then you have leather. It is soft, so when you rest your arm here, all right, you're resting against a soft surface. So leg room looks good. All right, so I sit inside here. Good leg room in store for us here. Of course, I'm 170 centimeters tall. Got, well, about 3 fingers of headroom above me, so this is good. All right, and you've got individually adjustable headrests here, and here you can see there's a cup holder. The climate control is operated here by touch, so I'm going to go in front to start the engine and activate these. Okay, so you hear it's touch, so I can control the temperature. Wow, look, I have a recline adjustment. All right, go all the way back. Okay. I can even control the audio, so you can tune your volume, your tracks, all that. Okay, you want to adjust sunshade here. All right, so the Camry, of course, this is in our market, the Camry is often used as a chauffeur-driven car. So this is logical, and I don't. Okay, so this is not a. It's not a lid here. Usually there's a lid with a compartment here, but because I think they integrated this control here, probably this is no longer available as storage. But this is pretty neat, pretty premium. And down you pull this connects to the boot. All right, and here of course this is the adjustment for the front seat, so you can push the seats forward or back or adjust the recline. And yeah, so you've got two USB ports down there with the blowers here, seat pockets on either side. Yeah, and you've got individual lighting here as well. So the thing here is that this Camry, despite being more driver focused than previous gen Camrys, also has enough amenities in at the back here to be a proper chauffeur driven car. I think this is probably on par with Mercedes S-classes of maybe 15 years ago, which is not too bad. Okay, so we now come to the front seat, and you can see here the instrument cluster is a simple 2-dial setup, and then you have a center screen in the middle which you control from this pad. You can even use this to control the rear sunshade. Pretty neat. Alright, so I press that again, drop the sunshade. There's no manual button here, and actually, as a matter of fact, the number of manual buttons here on the center dash is reduced. I think a lot of the functions have been migrated into the touchscreen or into here. So hold this to change detailed settings. You got tire pressure warning system, rear seat reminder, and here is so you have touchscreen availability. All right, or you can go to the home. You have these shortcut buttons here either side. Now Japanese cars usually don't do infotainment systems as well as the Germans. The Camry here is no exception, but I do appreciate for one fact that there is a factory look to this screen compared to what you would get presumably 5 years ago, where this car would have come from, arrived in our market with this blank, and BMW, Toyota had to locally install this. This one, no, this one is a factory sourced unit. It rolled out from the plant in Thailand with this thing in place, and it reached here in our market. So here the controls, this part is simplified, so really strictly only for the aircon, and all the entertainment systems is all here. All right, your radio, everything is chucked up here. Now here, what we have here is you got a 12-volt socket. Okay, there's nothing behind this. Here, USB port. This is a wireless charging tray, or you can push this in. Okay, which you can also there's still space here to select your phone and reveal a deeper storage tray. Okay, you've got two cup holders here, and over here it's a relatively large but rather empty center console. Then you have, drive mode selection, eco, normal, sport, electronic parking brake, and this finish here, mildly textured. Okay, it's like it's sort of like wood, but it's not real wood lah. Okay, but it's still nice. It looks nice, and this pattern is replicated here as well. But not here. This is a different pattern. It's like just spray painted over it. Okay, and you've got these additional controls here for your fuel lid, boot lid, cameras, stability control, as also adaptive lights. And you've got a little coin drawer here at the side. Let me see this side here, glove box, and up here there's a control panel. You've got these two lights for the ambient lighting and also the other reading lights as well. Okay, so here inbuilt there's this Toyota dash cam. Okay, so you don't have to worry about installing a dash cam in this car. Yeah, so overall view of this cabin, quality is good. It does not exude a feeling of luxury per se, but make no mistake, this is premium. Okay, it's loaded with features here. The back space of this is a legitimately good chauffeur driven environment to be chauffeur driven in, and well, this car overall I would say is great to drive, and at the same time rides very, very comfortably. So a lot of people say, right, the D segment in the Malaysian market is dead. because consumers are migrating to SUVs, and they have a point. This is a shrinking segment, and the fact that these segment cars have gotten progressively more expensive along the way has not helped. I mean, last time you had 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you had your plethora of choices in the D segment at 150,000 ringgit. Now, nothing. Now, this segment has moved into the 180, 190, 200,000 ringgit price bracket. And, you know, that leaves consumers who previously shopped in that space looking at SUVs anyway. But there still is a market for conventional and conservative 3-box sedans like the Camry. And if you are still shopping with that mindset, the Camry is an immensely talented car. Now, one factor that goes against it is that it does not immediately look as ostentatious, or as, you know, it doesn't have that mature luxury that its predecessor models seem to carry. But when you look at the equipment that Toyota has packed into this car, the way they dress this car up, you know, the way they design and built this interior, this is a car that really serves, you know, an all-occasion, all-purpose car. You can be you know, a middle manager, okay, who has worked your way, you know, up the ranks, and decided, you know, you want to drive something a bit more stately. The Camry is a car that suits you. Or even you have moved high, far above middle management. You are CEO, you know, you are MD, you are Tan Sri, Datuk Sri, whatever. A Camry is still a car that you can be seen in without being embarrassed. In a way, you know, once you move above the middle management strata, the Camry is a car that can still transcend class, you know, transcend your social status. All right, this is a car that you can enjoy as much driving as you are being driven in. I mean, I would say that they could and should have chosen a slightly more angular, more you know, a more plain, mature, straightforward kind of, you know, design. But in terms of what they have built and packed into this car and the way it drives, I really have no complaints. This remains a very competent all-rounder if you're shopping for a conservative sedan with a 200,000 ringgit price tag.